Model trains can be an entertaining and informative hobby for children, adults, men, or women. An interest in actual passenger or freight trains are usually where a passion for this hobby first develops. To get a clear understanding of this hobby of model trains and scale modeling, we sat down with Claude William, who will be introducing us to his large collection of early 20th century steam locomotives on the layout he maintains within his basement at his home on Long Island. Which type of trains will you be running for us tonight?
On the freight side, we're going to have link coupler, 600 series American Flyer boxcars, about 15, 16 of them, being engined by an American Flyer Northern of the late 40 period, though with a rebuilt armature and field in the motor. So I have the equivalent of the later large motor. And that's a part of the freight. The passenger is a very long, expensive, rare consist of mixture of 600, 900 series heavyweights by American Flyer.
All right, Claude. Which scale is this layout right now?
S.
Can you tell me about that, S gauge?
Well, gauge and scale, first of all, are two different concepts. Scale is the actual scale size of the world that you're creating. Gauge is the distance between the two rails of track on that same layout, perhaps.
Okay.
S gauge and S scale can mean the same thing. It all depends. S scale is 64 feet equals 1 of our feet. S gauge, if you're scale or otherwise, is the distance between the rails, and that would be 7/8 of an inch. And that's why they call it S. The early pioneers in the National Modeling Association back then tried to categorize. They didn't even call they didn't even know what to call it in the beginning.
How did this layout come to being?
How did this layout come into being? It came into being through, of course, a desire to have this new American Flyer layout in my life. So I had to design it. And being very analog about my methods, I picked up a pencil and a notebook and started making plans. And I designed the table work, the control panel. I designed the track plans. I designed all of the wiring circuits. And then designed how the whole thing was going to function together, how many cabs, how many towers, and so on and so forth. It ended up, I didn't want to go past my means at that time, but I wanted the layout to be substantial. So in the basement, I had to completely redo my basement, which took a lot of effort. I didn't hire a company to do it. I did it on my own with some help with some friends, of throwing everything away that was down there to repainting and re-insulating the whole damn thing, putting up some sheetrock and whatnot, putting up new lighting fixtures for the layout, and then building the layout itself through the designs that I made in my notebooks, which I wish I had in my hands right now. I could show them to you. Maybe later on. And the whole thing came together. I had one person that had a little carpentry skills help me put the basic carpentry together and how to use the drill and the screws and everything. And we knocked this big layout together. The layout standing, it's 24 feet long and just under 6 feet wide. about 5'9", 5'10" wide. And that seemed like a substantial enough size. I wanted long straightaways. Wanted to be able to at least have 2-train operation, if not more. And you can only do so much in one layout anyway. And creating the whole atmosphere of railroading with that. Even a layout 24 feet long might not have a bridge in it or a tunnel or any such thing. My layout has none of those things, and it still has a lot of other aspects. In modeling in any size, it's always, for realism, if that's what you're going for at all, it's best to be sparse.
How long have you been interested in trains?
That would be like asking me how long I've been interested in stamp collecting. My whole life. I have other hobbies too, of course. There's another book there. I've been into trains since very early. My first recollection of being exposed to electric trains were my father's trains, a set that he had bought. I don't know if he bought them for us and realized that we were too young at the time, we meaning my brother and I guess I was about 3 or 4 years old when I stumbled into a box. I was so young that I probably didn't even notice them under the Christmas tree when I was 2 or 3. But when I was about 4, I noticed a box, and I noticed an orange-colored plastic Baby Ruth boxcar sticking out of a box with track, and a black gondola car, and a red caboose. And the precision of these toys just it was much nicer than any other toy I had in my toy box at the time. I wanted them. And eventually acquired them and turned them into junk within a couple of months. But that was my first experience, and I loved them. And somehow through that connection, plus, of course, being from my generation and the great department store setups of the early 50s, the giant layouts they would make of Lionel or American Flyer. And I remember living in the Bronx as a kid, going to Christmas time was wonderful.
Where can a person buy, sell, or repair these types of model trains?
Oh, there are many resources for that. There are enthusiasts all over the country, mostly in other areas in New York, but there are some here even on Long Island. Upstate New York, there might be some more S-gaugers, American Flyer enthusiasts. You would have to get a model railroad periodical or an S-gauge periodical. You have, in the old days, the long defunct S-gauge Herald, around in the 50s and in the 60s and 70s. I think 1978 was the last issue. And then since 1962, Don Heimberger's magazine, S-Gagian, this has been around since 62. I think Don was only a kid when he started this, a young teenager. But if you look in the ads here, it's all here. Repairs, for sale, everything. There's a few fine dealers that I know of in Connecticut, around the Hartford area, that sell collector-grade American Flyer. There's one in particular that I know here in Long Island, where I live, that sells the same type of grade of collectible American Flyer, and for operators. And throughout the country, you'll have that. You have repair services. If you want American Flyer trains from the old days and you want them in running shape and you want to build a layout, it can be done.
Trainland, located on 293 Sunrise Highway in Limerick, New York, is a great place to get started if you would like to pursue this particular hobby. Until next time, I'm James Verdon. Thanks for watching.